Welcome to Colorado Springs, at the foot of the Rockies, where everything seems calm and orderly. And yet one evening, the local residents experienced something rather unusual. We meet a young couple who live with their children in a well-to-do neighborhood.
One night, I was coming out of our house right there, and I could see only the stars. So I walked outside and I was like, wow, it's really dark tonight. And kind of looked up and down the street and thought, why is it so dark? And I noticed that our street light was turned off. So the next day I called the utility company figuring that the light was broken, and called them up and like, hey, it's really dark. I think our light's burnt out. Can you come out and please fix it? They said, can you go and check if there's a band, an orange band around your light? And I'm like, orange band? I'm like, what's that about? And they're like, well, can you just go check? And so like, all right. So I walked outside and kind of ran out and I was like, yeah, it's got an orange band. They're like, oh, your street lamp was one of the ones that they had turned off. And I was like, turned off? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, remember that property tax increase that you voted on a few months ago? And I was like, yeah, I think so. They're like, well, because you didn't pass that, the city has decided to turn off, a third of the street lamps. And that's also when they told us that we could adopt it.
So they said if you want your light, you have to pay.
That's right. That's right. Yep. And
I think after we got over the initial, we were just kind of annoyed and irritated. It's something that we had taken for granted. And all of a sudden, when your street is dark, the home that you live on, that you count on to, be safe, when it's gone, after a while, it just became a no-brainer for us that we would adopt the street light. They did make it really easy. I did the adoption. It was online. They took credit cards. Probably took me about 5 minutes to do.
Yeah.
And it was turned back on within,
I think
like 2 days.
It was pretty fast.
2 or 3 days.
Was it? Yeah.
So this was your street light?
This was our street light. This is it right here. Yep. Our baby. So still got the blue tag on it, which indicates that somebody adopted it.
The price for having your streetlight turned on is $100 a year. But let's start at the beginning.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early...
This is the heart of conservative America, Colorado Springs, 400,000 inhabitants, 79% white, 4 military bases, and more than 400 churches. It's also a popular tourist site.
For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Wealthy sponsors offer the annual street breakfast to local citizens who celebrate the myth of the Wild West and patriotism. Personal success is highly respected. People abhor government interference in their lives, and they certainly don't want to pay for it. Not even in an emergency. When the municipality ran out of money in 2009, people voted against a yearly $200 tax hike. Chuck is a successful businessman. He voted no, in spite of government warnings that there would be drastic budget cuts if the tax hike was refused.
The citizens were just kind of waiting to see what City Council was going to do, and City Council then started doing some goofy things, quite frankly. I think a lot of people would consider them to be a little goofy. Because they didn't, so what do I mean by goofy? Well, they made moves that really didn't mean that much to the bottom line to an organization, our city government, who was just bleeding cash and coming close to running out of money. Well, things like taking the trash cans out of the park, isn't really going to get you where you need to be. Turning street lights off isn't really going to get you where you need to be.
And here's the woman who made everything goofy. Jan is the city councilwoman in charge of finance. She's a highly qualified businesswoman.
I was elected in April of 2007, and every elected official will tell you they come into office because they want to make great changes and do some wonderful things. Well, immediately we ran into the economic downturn. And in Colorado Springs, because our economy is based on sales tax, as soon as the economic downturn hit, the money stopped flowing into the city. So when we had limited funds to spend, we all agreed that we had to maintain the public safety and we had to maintain the roads. So things like parks were just devastated by the cuts. I think we spent $3 million that first year out of a $19 million budget.
Imagine if the park near your home looked like this. No more irrigation, no more trash collection, and no more public restrooms. The swimming pools are closed, the streets remain unrepaired, and a third of the city is left in the dark.
Starting in January of 2010, when the cuts actually began to occur, for the first time, people began to sit up and really take notice of, well, what's this? And as a direct result, here at City Hall, we responded with an Adopt a Streetlight program, for example, for I believe it was a little over $100. You could pay for an annual fee to get the streetlight turned back on in your neighborhood. We also created an Adopt a Trash Can program for the parks and an Adopt a Park program, so people could, in a neighborhood, could actually adopt their park.
And it worked. The local residents, the very same who refused to pay an extra $200 per year in taxes, doled out thousands of dollars to adopt 140 trash cans, 126 parks, and some flower beds. Since then, Colorado Springs' finances have improved. Streetlights are on again, and the public places are kept clean. But the damage is done. This strange situation is ideal for the business community. They can now justify their criticisms against local authorities.
The costs that are killing us and killing our municipal budget aren't trash cans in the parks, aren't really even watering the parks, aren't the street lights. It's personnel costs. It's the pension costs that we pay our public employees, and it's their health care benefits that we pay. And it has become, in recent times, the salary that we're paying them as well.
Welcome to a dream made real. Welcome to an elite fellowship of exciting minds and adventurous spirits reaching back nearly 100 years. Welcome to the Broadmoor.
Welcome to the Broadmoor, the most beautiful hotel in town with its 13 restaurants, 24 shops, and 3 golf courses. An 1,800-employee dream world. Employees cost the company an average of $24,500 a year in salaries and various costs. According to Chuck's friend and hotel director, the Broadmoor is a model of successful business management.
Okay. No, I think the focus
He wants the city to follow his example. He tells the city council that in order to get out of debt, they must cut back on employee costs. 70% of the city budget is spent on personnel, compared to 35% at his hotel.
It quickly went viral and was in the newspaper, and the general public jumped on board. And again, it was really in my opinion, sort of a manifesto about how local government just isn't meeting the needs of the community. And if it would just run like a business, then everything would be okay, and we could probably provide more services than we are currently. I do think that there's a difference when you look at over 50% of our budget for salaries is related to policemen and firemen. And it's very difficult to compare that to running a hotel where most of your salaries are waitresses, room clerks, and so on. And I mean, policemen and firemen come to work every day, basically putting their life on the line for the city. And we have always believed that they deserve to be compensated accordingly.
Chuck and his friends didn't stop there. In order to force the city to change its ways, they set up a select committee of businessmen to thoroughly examine the city's books. That day, they present their recommendations to a group of economic and political leaders, including Jan.
Really what we're trying to do is enable Colorado Springs to be one of the most efficient and effective municipalities in the United States and indeed in the world. We looked as a city committee at the city of Colorado Springs like it was a business that we were going to take over, that we were going to acquire the city of Colorado Springs. So we did a deep dive on the financials, thanks to Barry, who sat up front here. I think we're now up to something like 50,000 lines of Excel. So he can probably tell you how many paper clips the police department uses every month, if you needed to know that. But certainly, above all, we have been data-driven.
What I want to say as I look at this, you know, I wish everybody here could walk in my shoes for 6 months. We really are faced with difficult decisions based upon services that the city currently provides in many cases to the most underserved populations in our community. There's more to Colorado Springs than just charts and graphs. And we as a community need to continue to have the conversations about what do we want to be and what services do we want to provide. And so I just share some of my thoughts to kind of help balance the conversation a little bit beyond just charts and graphs and who the city is. So
Yep.
Bob, thanks
Thanks,
you.
Jen.
And
It's a 6-week camp. They meet here at Monument Valley Park 4 days a week. We have about 20 teenagers with disabilities, ages 13 to 18, and about 6 staff that work with them through the day.
yes, you are.
6 workers for 20 handicapped persons. This camp is partially financed by the city. It costs a lot and was almost closed during the recent crisis.
One of the reasons I fought so hard for the Therapeutic Rec program was it is a very unique and specialized services. Programs like this, if a private company could do them, they would have by now. But the truth is that there's no way parents could ever pay enough to support a program like this. And I happen to believe that it's those specific niches that are a good place for government to step in and provide some of the services.
Jan holds on, but it is very difficult. Colorado Springs doesn't value such work or the role of the city. Jan's salary says it all. Members of this non-professional city council receive $6,200 a year. But that's not all. After the budget-cutting process, the businessmen managed to get a new mayor elected with strong new powers.
I think the local business community really felt that having 9 council members make all the decisions just wasn't working. And they decided that to change the form of government to what is known as a strong mayor, council mayor form of government, the business community was very supportive. They spent significant dollars to be sure that ballot measure passed so that they could respond to only one person in city government rather than the 9 members of city council.
You feel sometimes sidelined.
In the new form of government, Yes, all the city staff works directly for the mayor and not council, so I no longer have the authority to call city staff to get things done.
Clearly, the mayor is the chief executive of the organization, and the gentleman who won, Mayor Bach, actually used our data and our analysis and the charts that we produced as his platform when he ran for mayor, and he won by a pretty good margin.
You helped him get elected, didn't you?
Personally, I did, yes, yeah.
We meet the 69-year-old hyperactive mayor in a local park. He calls on volunteers to use their muscle power to accomplish what the city can no longer pay for. No more selfish gardening at home. Everyone, no matter how old they are, is asked to pitch in for the common good.
There's a future mayor right there. Put it right up there. Great. This is what this city's all about, though. The best part of this city are these people. They're coming out here on a Saturday morning, and they could be doing something else, having fun, but instead they're trying to help our city. Isn't that great? And we have hundreds of people around the city that come out every month to help us clean up our parks. And I think it's important for the mayor to set the tone, to set the example. This is the best part of my job, honestly, being out here with these people. This beats being in politics. It really does. And we realize as a community that government is not going to be able to do everything for us. We're going to have to find some of our own solutions and do more things ourselves. So this is an example of that.
Mr. Mayor loves good examples. Here's another, the ideal bureaucrat.
So here's my assistant walking that way, Brenda Bond, who works 60, 70 hours a week on her own. And here she is on a Saturday morning out here helping us, which is great to have government employees joining our citizens. Hi, how are you? If we don't begin making changes now, we will be insolvent as a government in 5 to 8 years, meaning we'll be bankrupt. So we must rethink everything we're doing. We must reinvent and innovate. And so we are doing outsourcing and more of it. And why? Because we think it'll be less expensive to the community. And the reason is when we hire employees, we're required to have a guaranteed pension for them, and we can't afford that for the future. I have to go back to work right now.
Like the trash collection that has always been in private hands, the mayor has handed over the management of the city's largest hospital, the public swimming pools, and the park maintenance to private enterprises. It's easy. Take the municipal gardeners, for example. A dozen were fired and replaced by the employees of a private company. These private sector services do cost the city 20% less. But people haven't noticed any great change. We meet Allison, who adopted the park next to her home. The neighbors pitched in to help pay for the $2,500 adoption.
It was a tough budget time that none of us could really control, so I think it's better to do something than sit around and complain about it. On the other hand, though, there are parts of the city that have been sorely neglected. And to me, then it becomes a system of haves and have-nots. So neighborhoods where people are capable, they have the time, they have the money to do this, are fine. But in the parts of the city where people are more challenged financially, I don't think parks should be a matter of how much money you have.
Would you be ready to adopt this park again?
In a minimal way, yes, but do I want to maintain the park forever? No. It almost feels like a broken contract. We moved here. The park was maintained by the city. It was one of the reasons we chose this house, and I don't want to maintain a park forever. I feel like that's not my job.
You have now a strong mayor. He's really saying Well, that's a new reality. We don't have the money. What do you think of your strong mayor?
Well, I don't know if he's been in office long enough for me to form an opinion about his job, but I actually do believe that this is a new reality. Sadly, I think the economy, the budget cuts are going to be kind of a way of life for us.
We leave town full of the pioneer spirit. The street breakfast is over, but a new way of life with less government has just begun. It's too early to know what will happen. Too early to know if the business method will save the city from bankruptcy. Here, the absence of public services is not a dream, it's a nightmare. Trenton, the capital city of New Jersey, is only an hour away from New York City. It has suffered industrial decline and is devastated by poverty and unemployment. Here, too, the municipal budget is in the red, but things have gone much further than in Colorado Springs. A shocking announcement was made in September 2011.
We feel that the only options we have now is to cut where we receive the most significant savings. And unfortunately for us, it's our public safety entities.
These boots lined up behind me says it all. 108 Trenton police officers have been laid off today. Their absence sends a powerful message.
108 police officers, 1/3 of the force laid off. Vital services cut off for lack of money. The impact is severe. Trenton's police officers already work in one of the most dangerous small cities in the United States, so it is extremely difficult for those remaining on the force. A lack of manpower increases the risk of danger. Detective George DeZerko has been on the job for 22 years and is a natural leader. He heads the largest police union.
You just wonder sometimes how bad it actually is going to get. The number of actual police officers are here today equal to the amount of officers we had in the 1930s. And we all, crime is a lot harder today than it was in the 1930s. And that's a problem. The future's bleak here now, but if it just keeps getting further and further out of hand, I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen.
There are now fewer policemen and women on patrol and fewer investigating officers. Aside from numerous layoffs, 40 officers have been demoted.
But again, like yourself, not worry about the pressing times.
Mark Kiefer was about to head the criminal brigade, but is now a sergeant with 15% less pay.
It's just hard. It's depressing. It's like going to work every day and jumping in the river. And then you swim as hard as possible against the current. And the current brings you all the way back down, and you're done for the 8 hours, you get out. Well, you're nowhere closer to accomplishing your goals. You're whacked back down. You're way down the river. So next day you come in, you jump in the same spot, you swim as hard as possible, and you're going against the current, and you're back down again. So that's where we're at right now.
The big economic boom here is the drug activity. There's a lot of drug activity that goes, in the city, and the gangs control a lot of the drug activity, and that spawns off into the violence for turf wars. Who's going to control drug trafficking in this area versus that area, and it gets intense.
Police layoffs mean greater freedom to commit crimes. In 9 months, car theft has increased by 80%, violent robbery by 55%, and armed attacks by 76%.
The bullet actually came through this hole right here. Made a pretty big gash in that hole. And as you can see, when it comes over, it kind of hit a little bit up here and put a bullet hole and actually went right through the wall there. This is level with my head. Yeah, I mean, that bullet in that window is level with my head. This is where I operate all day from, so it's just through the grace of God that I wasn't in the office when it happened. But yeah, John, you gotta get that stuff from me. You know why I was calling. I need
Tracy is a construction business entrepreneur. He grew up in Trenton and has watched his city sink into the abyss.
It's one thing that's scary about a lot of the crime and the stuff that goes on in a lot of these inner cities. A lot of these guys has guns that's more powerful than the police. And when you have guns that's more powerful than the police and people that don't know how to shoot them, you know, you have stuff like this where bullets come flying through people's windows and innocent bystanders are harmed, or young ladies or young girls or older mothers are being shot by a stray bullet.
Seemingly nothing can stop the criminals. Mark takes us to the scene of a crime that took place 2 weeks before our arrival.
On this street, a police officer, two police officers were driving down this street and they got somebody took a rifle and shot at their police car. That has not happened to that effect to us since I've been here, and that was 1993. First time they shot with an assault rifle, okay? Now you're talking, rifle rounds are pretty big. Rifle rounds go through cars and go through seats and go through bulletproof vests. A bulletproof vest is not gonna stop a rifle round, it'll go right through you. They actually targeted us. It's kind of like a war out here.
So this is a really bad sign when they begin to shoot other people.
Yes, I mean, it's a shame when they shoot at everybody, but we're protectors of society. So when you're gonna take out the protectors, then there's problems. We have problems with society then.
The police will not allow us to film the patrol for security reasons. They say they cannot guarantee our safety. It's not only 2 or 3 streets that have fallen into neglect. Most of this city of 85,000 residents is in the same condition. An entire city filled with dilapidated houses, a city paralyzed with poverty. Perry and his father run a small association that is fighting to improve safety in Trenton. They lead us through the urban jungle where they have always lived. This was once their home and garden.
We stayed at 17, the Given stayed at 19.
These streets is what helped to make me the person I am, and then coming back and seeing the way it is now is really heartbreaking. The house I was born in, lived the first part of my life. I remember a lot of nice memories here. I remember a lot of families lived over here, a lot of hard-working families. And to see it in the way it's looking right now is a total shame. It's the fact that it wasn't like this. And I just don't remember the negativity that's going on right now. What about you, Pop?
Well, this is where I brought my kids up. Right here, 17 Sanford Street. They grew up here and got a little old. We moved into the township. But this brings back a lot of memory, this home here. And all the neighbors knew each other and they would take care of each other. And it brings tears to my eyes to see how this is just run down now. You know, everything is infested with drugs and The older people.
On this street, everything is infested this way?
The next street over.
This street, next street. For us, ever since the crack era, a lot of families fell apart, and a lot of them have not recovered as of yet. Look at these houses. Look at this street. You can count every other house is an abandoned house. When you have abandoned houses, you have more crime. You got people going in, doing drugs, doing unkindly things.
Less than 1 out of every 2 young people in Trenton complete their compulsory education. A few streets away, we meet 29-year-old Desmond.
I've been off and on with jobs for about the past 10 years, never really kept a job. It's hard out here though, you know. Ain't nothing around here for us to do but sit on abandoned porches, you know, stand in front of stores. So I just live day by day, the best way I can live.
Dealing drugs, basically.
Using drugs. Because the police laid off, maybe I won't be getting locked up no time soon. So I'm good right now. No police, I'm good.
No law enforcement. This woman doesn't like it. Marge is a firm-minded city councilwoman determined to save Trenton from sinking.
Hey, how you doing? How are you? Councilwoman Moore.
Protected by a volunteer, she visits the people in her district, which, like the rest of the city, is 85% black.
Yeah, you like it? Sorta. I know you. How are you? It's good to see you. Oh my God. How you doing? Well, I'm just
Leroy was born in Trenton and has always lived here. Marge met him a few months ago loitering on the street with a group of drug dealers.
things about my city. Okay. So if you want to talk to them, tell them about what's going on.
Well, you know, just like any other city, got its ups and downs, but you just got to make it through, you know.
So how you doing?
I've been all right. I've been okay. Everything's fine. You know, just trying to hang on. Summer just started.
Yeah.
It ain't got too out of hand yet, but
Keep
who
them
knows?
off the street, will you?
We're trying to. We're trying to have a safe neighborhood. So that's definitely coming up soon.
Let me know. All right. Thank
Y'all
you,
have
honey.
a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Okay. Bye, honey.
Y'all have a good day now.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. A lot of people won't go up and talk to the young people that are sitting around because they know they're involved in gangs, but I go up and talk to them. And you see the response I get. They remember me, they have my card. If there's issues, I come out and I talk to them. And I just told them one time when I was here, I know what goes on in the street, people doing business, which is technically drugs. You need to keep them off your street because let's make this a safe street. And that's what he said. He made that commitment to me. I mean, even if they're involved, I told them to take it somewhere else. So I want to keep the street clean. Yeah. But when I first took on this street, it was a disaster.
So you want to know how I know Trenton is? I got to give it to you. Give it to you, right?
Okay.
We've been here for several hours and haven't seen a single police patrol.
Yeah. No, you won't either. They come when there's a phone call saying there's something going on here or they get an alert. But they don't patrol this neighborhood. And even if we had more police, there is no residency requirement. They don't have to live in this city for the police department. For the first few years they do, but once they pass that, they can move out of the city and then they don't care. They come into the city and work and they leave. So we have a lot of things that we have to deal with in this council to try and change the pattern of how the city deals with the city.
We meet Marge in her neighborhood. This little street is a tangible sign of her personal commitment. Like in other neighborhoods, everything was in ruin here 30 years ago. Then she bought an old house, which she slowly renovated over the years. Other people followed suit, and the little street was saved.
There were many times that I felt that I had made a big mistake because people were breaking into my house while I was sitting in the house, and I had confrontations and people threatening my life. And then I finally turned one day and just decided, I'm not going to put up with this crap. I'm going to stay here. This is my home, and these people are not going to drive me out. So I stayed, and I hung in there.
She works at home because Trenton City Hall does not offer office space to its city councillors. This former union worker fights day and night to get the public finances back on their feet. When she was elected 2 years ago, the city budget had a $50 million deficit, which is enormous for such a small town.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and think I have to be crazy to do this job, but it's more than just working in the community. It's also enacting laws that are going to make things better in the city. It's also reaching out to developers, to business owners, to see if they're willing to come into the city, because I really do believe if we get the economic engine going in this city, we can then afford to have more police out there to suppress some of the crime, and people be more willing to come back.
Is Trenton, as other American cities, close to bankruptcy?
You could say that. You could, well, I mean, if we hadn't laid off our police and some of our fire and some of the employees, we would never have been able to balance the budget. But understanding that most urban cities always will have a debt. They will always have a struggle to balance their budget no matter how much funding they get, because there's so much need in the city for programs because we have so many poor people.
Trenton's tragedy is that its poverty-stricken population cannot afford its own government. Tax revenues have diminished over the past 6 years, eating away at expenditures, including essentials like the police force. A vicious circle. The city has only survived thanks to financial aid from the state of New Jersey. But this is not only a financial crisis. Marge also has to deal with a mayor whose ability to govern is widely criticized. A rare event, he has actually shown up at today's city council meeting. We learn that one of his nicknames is Napoleon, the little bossy man. He has gotten completely out of control.
Almighty God, who holds the fate of man and nation, we most humbly beseech thee to bless this our city, these deliberations, and these thy servants, that they may act with wisdom and understanding for the good of our community and thy greater glory. Amen.
Marge is one of the only council members that dares confront him.
Mr. Mayor, I went over the...
She confronts the mayor head-on. She has discovered that several $1,000s have gone missing from one of his departments.
Real true understanding or explanation as to why they were billing on a line item that had zero budget in it.
Right. Well, I mean, I can tell you right now that that was wrong. I don't know how it happened. I imagine it's real clear. The division director, the department director, accounts payable did not notice that mistake. So there's 3 levels that have to approve this requisition before it can become a purchase order. So all 3 levels failed in that process.
No one believes him. He's already been at the center of several big scandals. The FBI is currently investigating him for corruption. We try to get an interview, but he systematically refuses. The mayor stands accused by many. Michael is a New Yorker who moved to Trenton 15 years ago. He invites us to his headquarters, a 1950s-style diner reminiscent of the days when the city was prosperous, racially mixed, and safe.
Yeah, great. You guys got new potatoes.
Michael is a communications expert who decided to fight back after the law enforcement officers were fired. He set up a blog and became a radio host to denounce what was happening in the city government.
The city is in a state where people should be showing up to City Hall with burning stakes and ready to drag the mayor out and string him up. But I think that people are just, they're exhausted. I think people hate government. I think government has consistently failed people. It's consistently demonstrated that it can't solve problems. And I think people are sort of, they're numb to it. Trenton has the potential to be a great place to live if we can elect the right leaders, if we can shame some of our current leadership into doing the right things. I mean, this is where I chose to live. I own a home here, so I'm on the tax rolls, and I think if you want to make it better, I think it's critical that you raise your voice. If you see that the streets are dirty, the cops are not doing their job, and you have residents engaging in criminality, I think you need to speak up. I think it's essential that you speak up.
Michael regularly attacks City Hall. Here, local citizens have the right to publicly question the authorities. We arrive at the City Council just after the mayor has spoken. And Michael is angry.
Michael Walker.
Michael Walker, 630 Lamberton Street.
Good
afternoon.
Good evening.
I believe the mayor is not honest. He doesn't tell the truth. And we stand up here and we listen to this BS come out of his mouth, and we stand and you stand here and say, Mayor, I commend you on this and I commend you on that. You can't commend somebody on BS. I mean, I don't understand why we don't exercise common sense in the city of Trenton. I mean, what's happening here? We're becoming a destination of diminished standards, where we sit around while people are lying and say, well, Mayor, I want to commend you on that lie. I want to commend you for obstructing the process. This is crap. No mayor should have the right, and certainly not Mr. Mack, who has consistently demonstrated a remarkable ability to screw things up. Screw things up. I mean, this guy can't form a government. He hasn't been able to form a government. The mayor could not sell lemonade in the middle of Death Valley.
Michael didn't know how close to the mark he was. A few weeks later, Mayor Mack was caught in a shady transaction pocketing a $100,000 bribe on a real estate deal.
This morning, based on charges filed by my office, agents of the FBI arrested Trenton Mayor Tony Mack and one of the mayor's closest associates, Joseph Giorgiani, at their homes in connection with a scheme to commit extortion.
We meet up with Perry and his father as they make their neighborhood rounds. They check in every day with local members of the surveillance committee.
Hi, dear. How are you?
They plan to free the neighborhood of criminals, house by house, even if they have to destroy everything to build it up again. Renovating houses that have been left to ruin is one of their main goals. They work with the unemployed and former gang members.
That's what we're gonna do, fellas. We're gonna knock this wall down, because you know it's gonna get lead abated. So we're gonna bring this wall down. You know, this is already exposed.
We can't wait for government. If we wait for government, we'll have many more people incarcerated. We'll have many more kids who are not going to school and are dropping out. We'll have more single mothers who don't know where to go. We can't wait on government. We got people who we know and love are dying every single day, are losing their homes every single day, who are losing their minds every single day. So we can't wait, so we moved forward.
Perry and his father work hard at rehabilitating ex-convicts, and they know what they're doing. Perry is a former prison guard who specialized in working with gang members. His father was a sheriff. They are the only ones doing this work, which is important because 70% of the criminals lapse back into crime. More than 1,200 former gang members and ex-convicts have taken their classes. Here, Perry teaches them how to present themselves when looking for work.
And lost for words, and then when they left the interview and the door closed, everything they were supposed to say, it came to them once again. Has that happened to anybody?
I was prepared. I don't know what happened. I mean, I went over the speech. I could have said this. I could have chose more professional words. But I was overthinking. I mean, I wasn't relaxed. I was so busy trying to sell myself, I wasn't relaxed.
Have a hard time concentrating and understand what people are saying. Like, I'm not Einstein, and and I don't. A lot of words that people use, can't comprehend what those words mean. So,
the reason why I think we're successful as we are, even though we're limited in our funding, is because we collaborate with the community. We are a nonprofit, but at the same time, we came from the grassroots, so we know the problems and issues that are plaguing the community. We don't talk over their heads. We talk with them and listen to them, most importantly. These are people too, and no one seems to get it.
In exchange for their training, Perry obliges his students to do community service. Today, they are cleaning the streets and gardening, services which the city now only rarely offers.
You gotta start small steps. But once you start those small steps, the first thing is getting that first step going, next step going, next step going. It's not impossible. Will it be hard? Yes. Do you have to be consistent? Heck yeah. But it can be done.
Is this the answer? In Trenton, like in Colorado Springs, it seems that society relies on individual citizen initiative to compensate for the lack of public services, as if small government is becoming the norm.
It's not that cut and dry. It's not that simple. And we will always have a need for government because government is for the people, by the people, and that's how it should be. You don't need huge government, and I know that there's a lot of fat that had to be cut from government, but there are certain government services that you do need to have. Where we've failed, we've pretty much let everybody think that they're going to get a handout, and now we have to reinvent the wheel. We really need to start re-educating the people that they will not always be able to depend on free services or subsidized services because we may not always be able to do that.
I'm on the track, and it's freezing in the rain.